at? Oh God, I'm gonna die. I gotta get this on camera. No! No! Hey everybody, welcome to the Marino Show. I'm your host, David Marino, and I'm very excited to have my guest today. Actress Lauren Alenia is here with me. She's an actress, a voice actress, an influencer, and an award-winning cosplayer. Lauren, I'm so happy to have you with me today. Thank you for joining me for the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I've been seeing, your stuff on social media and some of the projects that you've been involved with. Full transparency, a few of my friends with
Yes.
Strange Film Studios, Frank and August Aguilar. You recently just worked on a project with them, right? Called
I
Show. Tell
did.
me a little about that.
Yeah, so filming was in Philadelphia, and I was in a bar scene. I play a character named Lisa. Obviously, I can't disclose too much information as much as I want to, but um, my co-stars Samantha and Kenny were absolutely phenomenal to work with, as well as Frank and August. They did incredible on set. Everybody was so sweet and so kind, and it was a really good production. And I really, really am so excited for this film. I think it's really going to do really well.
How did you get into the film world? And we'll get more into like all the other things that you do, but you're really sort of ramping up. I've seen like your IMDb and just it
Yes.
seems
Thank
like
you.
things are starting to roll in. How did you initially get involved in the world of acting?
So everything kind of corresponds together. I mean, I've always loved theater. I was in theater as a kid. I was in dance as a kid, gymnastics. And as I grew older, I really, really found a love and passion for cosplay, which I know we'll definitely touch into. Um, And so with cosplay, it started out with just making these different costumes, going to conventions, and then I really started to focus on each character and kind of study the character and their mannerisms and like their voice and accents. And at these cons, I wouldn't just show up in costume, I would also act as the characters. And I would draw really big crowds of it. And more and more characters I did, different various characters, I really started to notice, like, I really love acting. Like, I really love bringing these different characters that obviously aren't real to life. And I've always loved horror, so horror was easily a gateway for me. And one thing led to another, and I'm just, as you said, like more roles are coming my way, and it's absolutely incredible.
In terms of cosplay, I that's such a creative, artistic expression because like you said, not only is it acting, but the whole makeup, all of that.
Yes.
In terms of characters that you played in cosplay, what are some of your like highlights for you that you just
Oh.
love?
Oh, okay, so one of my favorites, I've been doing her for so long now, Princess Peach, and I know she's non-horror related, but um, I think with Peach, it's the just overall love and support I get from the fans at these shows, mostly kids, which always touches my heart because that makes me so happy. I grew up loving Nintendo, um, so yeah, just knowing that like I could dress up and like have fun and really own the character and seeing these kids light up, it makes my day every time. Another character I absolutely love performing as is Harley Quinn. Um, she's just all around such a fun character. There's really I can't even like pinpoint one moment that I think is my favorite. I think every interaction with Harley Quinn is like my best. I love it. And just seeing the different like poses I could do with people, and like it depends on what kind of props I have with me. Sometimes I'll have like the bat or the gun, or like it's all different, the javelin. And I always, whenever people want to take photos with me, I'm like, do you guys want to hold, like, what do you want to hold, like the bat, the gun? And I always try to be super personable with fans at cons, because it just makes the experience 10 times better.
And especially in the world, like the cons that you attend, I would imagine a lot of them are horror cons, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I know there's comic cons, horror cons, but
Hmm.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I've always been a fan of horror, as you said you have as well. And I just find the people in the horror community, they're so welcoming and so I kind of feel like all of us in that community have, either dealt with something growing up or like had some adversity to overcome. And you
Yeah.
put all those people together, and it's just
It's a big
like,
family. It's a big
yeah.
family.
How
Yeah.
do you feel about it? Do you feel that too? And because I always find that to be the case. It's like, I don't know, some people don't understand horror or people who are in it, but I
Yeah.
just feel like it's such a deep connection.
Hmm. No, I 1,000% agree. I've been to, as you said, like Comic Cons, and then I've also been to horror conventions. And there's just something different about horror conventions. I can't pinpoint it exactly, but I guess it's maybe just an overall feeling. Like it's, again, like you said, like it's just a vibe, and it's a family, we all love the same thing. And I think that horror as a genre is a form of art. I do think that horror is a very, very creative genre. So I think that fans and just, con goers like you and I, like we love that. And it's a big family. Like we said, it's great. Everybody loves everyone. It's great.
I was looking at your socials, and I saw that you like attended the Terrifier 3 premiere party. And
Yes.
then I haven't seen Stream yet, but I interviewed Mark Haynes, who's in Stream. He's
Yes, I
also
worked with them. Yes.
in Show, right? Yeah. Um, you know, and within the horror genre, there's so many different types of films. For
Hmm.
you, do you gravitate towards a certain type, or whether that's slasher or like the Saw films, or do you have
Ooh.
a favorite kind of within the genre type of horror film that you kind of gravitate to?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great question. I've always gravitated towards, like, the more gore the better. I love that. The more realistic gore, like body gore, is something that I've always been a fan of. But something that I've kind of dove a little deeper into is psychological horror. I think that anybody can get killed on screen, and horrendous deaths on screen, but if it's a type of horror that has you mentally messed up here, that's a different case. I think that like psychological horror is a whole other level.
Have you ever seen it's an older film, but Silence of the Lambs? Have you ever seen
Yes,
that?
of course.
Yeah, so
Of
that to me
course.
reminds me of like a psychological
Yeah.
horror, even which is body horror, but it's also psychological. The Substance,
Yes.
yeah,
Did see that. Yeah.
yeah.
That was there. I don't even have to go into it. The shrimp scene.
Oh my
That
god,
was the most disturbing.
isn't it hilarious? I agree with you. Like, out of everything in that film that could be seen as like gruesome or gory,
Disgusting. Yeah.
that was so gross. Dennis Quaid's mouth and the shrimp, just horrible. But he did a great job of playing a scuzzy, scummy player or character.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it had me queased. I was like, like can this, and they dragged it on too, which I think is like they nailed it. They knew
It
what
was
they were doing.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So one of your upcoming films, I was reading, on your IMDb, it's a horror film, right?
Yes.
Let's see. Is that Leave No Stone Unturned? That's
Yes.
coming up. And then I saw you did a film called it's Swine and Dine.
Slide and Dine, yes. I
Okay.
actually Mark Haynes actually used a killer in Slide and Dine.
Oh, wow. So tell me about like some of the horror films that you've been in and just kind of what's upcoming in terms of that world. and then
Yeah.
we'll get more into like your other stuff like voice acting. But because I love horror so much, so I just want to know like what you're going to be coming out with or what's currently out
Yeah.
there our viewers can see you in.
Absolutely. So far, the projects I have been in, they are either in post-production, or they're being edited. So they are coming out very, very soon, which is very, very, very exciting. Swine and Dine, I will touch base on that. So Swine and Dine, that's Blackout Films. I worked with, I mean, the whole cast is phenomenal, including Mark Haynes. And Ron Black and Chris Ave, they are phenomenal at what they do. I praise them every time, because they really do put a lot of dedication and work into their films. So it was a huge honor being able to work with them. So yeah, Swan and Dine is in post production. That's going to be out very soon. Leave No Stone Unturned by Kevin Womack. That was a 1 day shoot, and I believe that that's going to be edited very soon. So I played a waitress in that, and let's just say I hope I got a good tip because the way it ended wasn't too good. But that was actually my first on-screen kill um, in like my acting career. That was my first, and I posted those photos on my Instagram because I it was so much fun, and I knew it would be, but the scene that I had to do entailed that I was on the phone with the police. And I'm obviously in like a really disheveled panic and stressed out. And we did takes where I did not have the bullet in my head, and then we did takes with the bullet of the makeup. And each time I had to, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my god, I'm freaked out, and then fall as if I'm being shot. And we actually shot that in the Fox Tavern in New York City. And I remember I couldn't the way I wanted to do it was like really fall back, like really dramatically fall, but I couldn't because I didn't want to break anything behind me, right? So each time I had to get shot and then immediately drop. And by the end of that night, I had bruises on my knees, my elbows, but I was so happy about it. Each time I got up, they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like I was so excited to actually like be doing it. So yeah, so that's something really big that's gonna come out. Show with Frank Aguilar and August. We just wrapped that. So that hopefully should be out very soon as well. And for my future work that's coming out, I'm going to be working with Diana Plankton. So it's a film called Then Came a Rainbow. Um, and I have a pretty substantial part in that film, so I'm very excited to shoot. That should be sometime in April. Crimson Harvest, which is by Xander Goldman. I also just got casted in a Friday the 13th fan film, Jason's Fury. I'm going to be playing Stephanie Kimball, so that's going to be shot in Illinois. So that's going to be a little bit of travel, but it's very, very exciting because I love the Jason series. And last but not least, we have Clock Films, First State of Fear, where I'm going to be actually playing a witch in a coven. And that should be shot sometime this summer. So I have a lot of things lined up. I feel super blessed and honored to work with all these people.
Has anyone inspired you, whether it's a filmmaker or an actor or actress, in your, your own journey into the
Yeah.
world of acting and entertainment in general? Did you watch anyone growing up that just really resonated with you?
So I've always watched I've watched so many different movies, but like an actress that like I've really admired all of her work is Margot Robbie. Not just because of Harley Quinn, but because of the other films she's been in. I've watched interviews and podcasts, and I've learned like a lot of her journey, and it's very inspirational. But yeah, I mean, there's a few, but mainly Margot.
Now, in terms of voice acting, I always find that to be fascinating because, I mean, I feel like that is a whole other kind of level of having to act because you're really just, I mean, it's here and you have
Mhm.
to project in a way that you're not on camera, but you're,
Right.
whether it's a video game character or even animated, you're having to embody a character without being the one on screen. So how do you go about doing that, and how do you practice? Like, I'm just fascinated by the voice acting thing because that seems like it seems really like it would be tough.
So sometimes it is difficult, depending on the character, but for the most part, I love voice acting. Two roles I have done, I love it. I feel like it's almost even easier than actual acting because like I could just be in my house, you know what I mean, in a closet with a script, a mic, and maybe a blanket over my head, depending, you know. And I think it's the funniest thing where like one of the characters I had to do, I had to like deviously giggle, and I think that that is so funny while being under a blanket. Like it's just it's a visual that once in a lifetime, right? But yeah, no, I've always done my voice acting solo. Like I've never had an additional person with me, maybe to like bounce back with it. But preparing for certain roles, even voice acting, I usually study the character's lines in a way where I try to determine their personality. So, like, based off of just the script, are they evil? Are they condescending? Are they sweet? Like, you gotta get a vibe. And then once I get that vibe, I'm ready to go. Like, I know how I'm gonna present the character, um, and I really do my best to, really own and embody the character that I'm voicing.
Are there any favorites that you have so far that you've done?
So definitely Yandere Chan, and of course Ayano, 1000%. And of course, Marilyn, too. Marilyn is she was actually my first ever voice acting work, from Max Bovin's The Mechanic. It's a fan film. And that he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, I know you want to do voice acting. I know you're getting into acting. Like, I would absolutely love to have you on the project." And I'm like, "Let's do it." And so I got the role, and just seeing it and, like, hearing my voice attached to, like, the character, it was, like, so surreal. I was like, "That's me." Like, "Oh my god, that's me." So yeah, it's definitely really, really cool. I do think it's easier, but I equally love both, like, real acting and then VA work as well.
Would you ever have any interest in working behind the camera, whether that's directing, producing, writing? I find that a lot
Mhm.
of people in your world, many that I've interviewed, they kind of like to have their hand in a little bit of everything. And is that something that you would want to do one day as well?
I think that writing, my own story and own character, I think that would be really cool, but I absolutely would wanna have a little more, experience underneath of me to even think about doing that.
So when do you feel like things really started to start rolling for you? Because you've listed all these projects that you're doing. Some are in pre-production. You're going to be working on others. And I
Yes.
ask this for especially, a lot of the people that I interview are in indie films and, or some larger films, but it really does take a lot of hustle and a lot of work. And so for those out there that are like looking for roles or they're trying to break into the business, as somebody who has started to take off and you're working and you're busy, what would your advice be, and how did that work for you? How did that come into play?
Yeah, so my main advice, and it's gonna be so simplistic, but it's the truth. Keep going. Keep applying yourself, keep auditioning, keep putting yourself out there. Um, I remember I first started out with acting, and I think one of the first projects that I actually worked on was with Ridley Scott on the Apple TV series that's out now, Dope Thief. I worked on multiple episodes, and that was like my first big production. And I remember I was just promoting and like, like anything that you're involved with, you have to promote. Absolutely. Like you want to, you have to always be proud of the work that you do. And I remember that I was so proud of myself for just the promotion part of it because I not only helped them out, of course, and I pushed them as well, but it also got some eyes on me. So my advice is just keep going, keep promoting, keep pushing yourself, keep putting yourself out there, and keep devoting yourself and keep being dedicated to your work, and roles will come to you.
That's awesome, and I'm happy to see that you are accomplishing all those things.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, because I'm not an actor in any way, but just seeing like all the work that goes into it. And I don't think that everyone always thinks about all the other work that you have to do. Like once you act and you finish the project, that's
Right.
done. But then all the other stuff, promotion is a
Yes.
huge part. And these days with, you know, social media, I think that and I'm older, but you really have to be savvy with social now, like, especially if you are in the industry. So,
Mhm.
I think that's great that you're taking that and sort of run with it.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of film, if you had like your dream role, not that maybe some of these haven't been a dream role, I don't know, but like if you could just, and it doesn't have to be a character that's established already, but is there a type
Okay.
of film you want to like be in, or some kind of character that you just think
Ooh.
that epitomizes like everything I love about this industry? What is that?
Yeah. So I definitely want to at least once be a killer. Cuz I did VA work for it, but I really do believe I could pull it off. I think that I have like the cute little face for it, but then I could pull out the most evil, sadistic side. So that's definitely a role that I definitely would absolutely love. And then also another one is being killed. I think having like an insane kill that people walk out of like watching the movie, they're like, "Oh my god, that kill! Like I want to be that kill." Like, that is amazing, and as well as, like, the behind the scenes, I would love to, like, see the art aspect of any special effect. So that's also another reason why I would want, to be dismembered or cut up.
In terms of, you said you did theater work growing up. Uh, you've kind of done a little of everything. How do you go about, do you have an agent? Like, how are you getting booked in all these different roles? Because that's another question that people would ask. Like, what do I need to do to, especially how long have you been in the industry?
So about a year now.
That's why I'm saying, like, this is why I'm asking you these questions because I think it's like again, Frank told me about you and spoke very
Yes.
highly of you, which I thought was awesome. But to see like how fast you're kind of, which is great, getting roles and progressing, which is obviously work ethic and all those things play into that. But how has that kind of come to you? Did you get an agent? Like, how did you get into that part of the business?
Yeah, so at this current moment, I do not have an agent. However, I am getting booked at these conventions. I have at least 4 conventions booked, just all throughout, even up until November. And with my social media presence, it's very easy to promote that and meet all my fans and supporters. And when you're at these conventions, you are promoting yourself. Even as like again, I go to conventions not even as a guest. It's all about promotion. So, for example, Frank and August, I was a guest at iHeart HorrorCon, and that's when I first met them. And he was like, "You have something. We're using you in the next project." And, that was absolutely incredible, like, that's insane. So it's mainly from, again, just pushing yourself out there, like, you have to push yourself. And, with the roles that I've gotten recently, it's all been directors seeing me at these cons, with lines of people, and so they come up and they're like, "Hey, I'm who so and so, right? I wanna use you in this, here's my info." And the ball kind of starts rolling from there, as well as word of mouth. I mean, you heard of me from Frank in August, which is insane. I hope they're watching this. Um, so again, like it's also that. Again, it's an honor to be where I'm at right now. And I'm very, very grateful and I'm very excited for everything that's coming up.
Has there been anything that has surprised you about the filmmaking process or just acting in general on set? What has it been like kind of, learning that, or has anything sort of stood out to you, I guess is more the question.
Yeah, so I guess the one thing I can say is that each film is like a family. Everybody treats you like family. Everybody treats you like gold. And I've been on some sets where it's very like professional and strict and like no fun allowed. And then I've been on other sets where we're goofing around the whole time. You know what I mean? When I get shot in the head. Like it's great. So that initially going into this like career, I was ready for solely like the strict, auditioning, strict on set. And then I was introduced to a few people on different sets and they're goofing around. And of course I matched that energy, right? And yeah, that I mean that definitely surprised me. I didn't think you could especially on like more professional sets, I didn't think you could goof around, but you can.
What has been the reaction from your friends and family about, what you're doing and kind of getting yourself out there like this?
Yeah, so my friends and family, of course my family, they are so unbelievably supportive. Everything I do, they are literally the first to promote everywhere. It is absolutely incredible, and I love them very much, my friends and my family. And I said this in a different interview too, that I'm so grateful for the people that are really there for me because, I'm sure you've experienced it as well, that people, unfortunately, when they see you do good, they try to drag you down. And just having real genuine support, it makes everything that I'm doing so worth it, and it makes me feel like I have like, a good support system, good friends, family. Yeah.
And I always believe that when you start having the haters, you're doing something right.
Absolutely.
And just to stay above it all, which is not always easy, but I think,
No.
you just have to do that because you're always going to have people that question and doubt, whatever. Like
Oh
that
yeah.
you're right. It is very important to surround yourself with, the right people. So what are you looking forward to next? I know you said you have a few projects, but like
Yeah.
beyond that, what are you looking forward to?
Oh, I think just all of the new opportunities. I think that there's doors opening for me that, a year ago wouldn't have been opening. And I really pushed myself and I really am working so hard to really continue this career and continue to push myself. And I'm just looking forward to all the new connections and conventions and meeting everybody. And it's again, it's an open door that I'm so excited for.